Foreign involvement in the critical national infrastructure. Hello, my name is Eva. Welcome to Jones Moans. In the UK, telecommunications networks are considered to be part of the critical national infrastructure, the CNI. The UK defines its CNIs as certain critical elements of infrastructure, the loss of which could have a major detrimental impact on the provision of essential services. Other CNIs in the UK include transport, infrastructure, energy and water supplies. I worked at BT's research and development site on a project that introduced Huawei onto the UK network. I left BT in 2008. The introduction of Huawei has since become controversial. In 2019, President Trump announced that he would not allow the US to connect to any network using Huawei due to security implications. I didn't hear anything about Huawei from the time I left BT in 2008 until 2019, when President Trump started to object to the Chinese company supplying kit for the UK 5G network. I've detailed how I think Huawei became a major supplier for BT in my previous videos. When I started investigating the issue, I wrote to the UK government, the security services and the UK police. And while I was working at BT, I was primarily involved in network security, and we worked with the security services and the police. And it became clear that whoever I wrote to wasn't interested, and that the subject of Huawei was out of bounds. In August 2021, I was still investigating the Huawei issue, and I came across a publicly available document called Foreign Involvement in the Critical National Infrastructure. It was presented to Parliament in June 2013. I'll put a link in the description so that you can download the whole document. This document has many redacted comments, and it's difficult to understand how much is being covered up. I do know that Huawei engineers broke into a test area at BT. I also know that Huawei have admitted to stealing intellectual property. There may be other problems with Huawei that I don't know about. They may be behind redacted information. Here's a few comments on this document. Just the document being there does provide evidence that Huawei presented an issue for BT. That's why the document exists. The document refers to the 21CN project that I worked on. And I think the biggest scandal in my mind is that they're implying that there is a disconnect between what went on at BT and what is being reported in this document. It may be behind some redacted comments. Under the heading Huawei and the Chinese state on page 5, it states, most of the concern surrounding Huawei relates to its perceived links to the Chinese state. There's nothing wrong with having communication suppliers linked to the state where they're based. And if BT as a company had remained closely linked to the state, the UK state, this problem wouldn't have occurred in the first place. And if all BT suppliers had been known, trusted vendors that we had used before, this problem would not have occurred. The big problem with having any foreign involvement in the CNI is when the head of another state, in this case Donald Trump, objects to another state's interference. Now we need to keep in mind that the US should be considered as a foreign supplier too. On page 8, under the heading Huawei's entry into the UK telecommunications, what went wrong, it states, BT first notified government officials in 2003 of Huawei's interest in the 21st Century Network contract. However, the committee has been told by the Cabinet Office that no officials referred this matter to ministers. Now, I find this statement hard to believe. BT people working in the area of network security had close links, close working relationships with all the security services. By the time Huawei was introduced, BT was fully privatised, and at some point the government, I think, disowned the CNI, possibly as a result of the Huawei debacle. I believe ministers were informed, which is why they chose to disown the CNI. This is just a theory. As I've already said, I have contacted many people over this issue. I've not been carrying out a finger-pointing exercise. All I've asked is that there is an official review of this document, foreign involvement in the critical national infrastructure. I've asked that the review is carried out with people who worked on this 21CN project. Those of us who worked on the project had to sign the Official Secrets Act. This was well into the testing of 21CN. I'm assuming we were only asked to do this to cover up the break-in. In my videos to date, I have tried to make the case that President Trump was right in saying that Huawei posed a security threat. In my next video, I will talk about how hard it has been to convince anyone that President Trump is not wrong about everything. Thank you for watching.